With John Milius unavailable to return for the inevitable Conan sequel, director Richard Fleischer was chosen by Dino De Laurentiis. Fleischer was most well known for directing such films as The Vikings, Dr. Dolittle, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Meiko Iwamatsu returned to play Conan and the Wizard narrator, respectively, while the role of Conan's sidekick from the first film was recast with a new character named Malik, played by Tracy Walter. The rest of the cast is a who's who of notable character actors and icons of the 1980s. Grace Jones plays Zula. In her first role, Olivia Diabo plays the virginal princess Jenna. NBA legend Wilt Chamberlain, in his only film role, plays Bombada, the princess's bodyguard. And Andre the Giant even has a cameo role as Dagoth, the godlike monster at the film's climax. Shot from November 1983 to February 1984, the producers sought to tone down the violence, feeling that the first film might have been more successful had it not been rated R. However, while it did achieve a PG rating after making several cuts, the film is still quite bloody as the PG-13 rating did not exist at the time. Receiving generally mixed reviews, the sequel went on to gross $31 million at the box office and was considered a moderate hit. Rather than make a sequel, Arnold fulfilled his picture quota with De Laurentiis by making Red Sonja, also directed by Richard Fleischer, the following year. With no intention of renewing his contract with De Laurentiis, Arnold Schwarzenegger moved on to other projects, solidifying his movie star status throughout the 1980s. This meant that Conan the Destroyer would remain as the final film in the series. While more recently, discussions of Arnold returning to portray the Cimmerian hero once more have come to light, it remains to be seen if we will ever see him in the role that launched his career ever again. But what did we think of this movie? Get ready to fight a human-nippled beast monster, eat up all your jewels, and punch every camel you see square in its stupid camel face. And join me, Matt McGregor, along with my co-hosts Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, as we chuck styrofoam boulders at the second and last movie in the epic Conan the Barbarian twofer franchise of films. This is 1984's Richard Fleischer classic, Conan the Destroyer. This is a show about franchises, sword and sorcery franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
Start with a little story time, or
Yeah, tell us a story.
So like on what was it? Sunday?
Just make sure that the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that it all comes full circle, and that there's plants and payoffs, not payoffs then plants. And
I'm making zero promises as to any of those things.
Damn it.
No, we watched this video, this YouTube video, a reaction video about the most expensive home ever built, and it's only like 20 minutes away. It's actually it's probably closer to Matt because it's sort of up towards 405, like getting into the hills and stuff. And we watched this video, and it's just like the guy who owns this place is so sad, and like he's like $100 million in debt. He's like has this sob story about his COVID wife who left him, and she went back to Argentina, and they had this plan to make a charitable foundation to teach kids the arts when it seems like he's teaching them arts when they need like food, water, and shelter, but whatever. And the whole inside of the house is like ugly as fuck. It was clearly just built to be big, and like it's like not good. He has 2 bathrooms separate for men and women in the house, where he plans to put cameras over the urinals and monitors in the women's bathrooms so that when the women go to the bathroom, they watch the men pee, and that's his plan to fix sexism.
I was about to start making fun of Colin for just basically recounting a YouTube clip or something, and then he got to the bathroom thing, and all of a sudden I was like, "Wait, tell me more." What?
This guy, you wouldn't believe it. Like his whole plan is to like just host events there, and it's so sad. Like you know how on MTV Cribs when they go to the people's houses, they get like a friend, at least one friend, to be like on a couch. This guy's literally got like walking through like this giant place with like literally 7 pools, and there's no one there. like no one else at all. He's like, there's a bowling alley with like, crazy colored lights and everything going on.
He's like, we've
And
never
he's just
even
by
used
himself.
this.
No one
It's
has.
like the Fire Festival of Homes.
Yeah.
So then they look up what this guy's doing, and like he's just throughout COVID, he was just still trying to throw parties there because he's in so much debt that he like can't do anything. So he's like been throwing parties for people, and he has 1/3 of all of the all of LA's COVID violations. A third.
Oh, man.
For like gathering people during COVID, he has 1/3 of all of them just from this place. And like his whole plan is to like he wants to host like a boxing match at the place. It's literally the most expensive home ever built, and like it's like the biggest waste of space and like one of the saddest people I've ever seen.
I'm kind of surprised that it hasn't been turned into like a tent city or something. I feel like there's so many tent cities in this,
We drove
in this
up
town
there.
all of a sudden.
We drove up there and it's like totally vacant.
Man, if he
Like,
wants to
we
do some
drove
good,
right up to it.
he should invite the homeless in, man.
I know. That's the funny part. He keeps talking about how he wants to use it to change the world, but like it has to start with the pay-per-view boxing match.
As
and then he goes,
good world-changing events do.
right, and then he goes, he's like, oh yeah, there's also like staff quarters, and they're like very clearly like fucking like slave tenements. It's like fucking awful. It's just the whole thing is just like so surreal. And then yeah, we drove up there to it because it's like 20 minutes away. We can drive right up to it, and it's massive. It's like it doesn't look like a home because it's too big and looks like it's like
Airplane
a
hangar?
shitty attempt.
Warehouse?
It looks like a shitty attempt to being the Getty. You know what I mean? Like just attempting to be the Getty but being like trash.
And sadly and stupidly, that is probably this place's future because it will be useless. And
Yeah.
at some point, somebody's just going to be like, I guess the only thing we use it for is a museum or a skate
I
park.
can't believe he got an $80 million loan that became $100 million of debt by just saying like, I'm just building the biggest house. And like that, and they were like, they just gave him the fucking money.
And who is
They were
this
like,
guy?
they were like,
Where
bet you
does he get
can't.
his wealth?
His name is Niall Niali, I think. Niles, something like that.
That sounds way made up.
He wore sunglasses the entire time. Like
Yeah, just
and
hide
he's
his
really
identity.
sad. He's really sad about this ex-wife.
This was a guy who was asked what his name was on the bank loan, and he just saw like a loose nail sticking out of the table. He was like,
Yeah,
my name's Niall.
Niall.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. But it just made me feel better. Like, just like here's a guy who like wants you to feel like you're poor and he's rich, but he is actually $100 million in debt, and he's like done the biggest waste of space in the fucking world.
Yeah, but he bowls anytime he wants. Colin, straight to the front of the line, man.
I don't think he even does. I think he just goes into the bowling alley and cries by himself.
He tries to order like onion rings, and there's no one working there. And he's like, "Damn."
Well,
Yeah.
No, I mean, he does bowl. He just doesn't bowl as often as he could because he's got to spend a lot of time deodorizing the shoes every morning.
Oh, the other best part was he starts going like, oh, we're really into sustainability. Here, check this out. And he's like, the flowers in the front, these are actually artificial. These aren't real flowers, so they won't die and get old.
I don't know if that's what
and then he's
sustainability
like,
is.
It's not what sustainability is at all. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
You're creating more plastic waste
Yeah.
that will never fucking decompose.
Good lord. Any other fun
Man.
stories before we get started here?
Sorry. Yeah. I
That
don't know.
really ties in well with the episode though, because it is all about wealth inequality in the Conan universe.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So, of course, the movie that we're talking about today is, I should say, welcome to License to Watch. We're talking about the second
Conan
film.
the sustainability coordinator.
Recycle it! Do it now!
As I'm watching him punch a camel for the second time.
That's so stupid that they thought they needed to call back to the camel.
It was
punch.
my least favorite part of this movie.
I have so much to unpack about that scene.
Yeah, let's hold off. I'm not even ready. I need to get my feet wet for a minute before we jump into that one.
This movie, of course, is Conan the Destroyer, directed by Richard Fleischer, no longer John Milius. John Milius was not available for this one, apparently. Arnold returns as Conan. We got a crazy cast of characters here. There's a lot going on in this movie. I have never seen this movie before. This is my first time seeing it. Joining us for this episode is a returning guest, and I should say Norway is our second biggest base of fans.
I think didn't we make him speak Norwegian or something last time?
Yeah,
We did at the end of the episode, but I wanted to start off. We're now in the middle of the episode, but I wanted to start out and say thank you, Norway. Thank you to the Norwegian people. And Kristian, you'll be happy to know that for a long time, and it might still be, that the last episode you were on, the Lethal Weapon 2 episode, was our most downloaded episode. Yeah.
Hey,
We blame you and all of our
thumbs up.
Norwegian loyalists.
Socialists.
So, I mean, before we get started, Kristian, do you have anything to say to the Norwegian people?
Yeah, velkommen til denne podcasten. Vi veldig takknemlige at dere hører på oss. Beklager at min norsk ikke så bra, men jeg får aldri anledning å bruke det. Så takk for disse guttene, og enjoy. Okay. I threw in one English word for him at the end.
Hell yeah!
Which one of those words means male nipple?
I used
nipple.
all three different words. For outie, innie, and
Yeah. Innie?
and pancake.
Innie nipple? Yeah, so, like, if I'm ever to go to Norway, how would I say yeehaw in Norwegian?
You would just say yeehaw. They actually, country music's very popular there, oddly enough. So,
You know what?
yeah.
You know what I was thinking about? Like, because we've always said, like, if we finally make it to ¡1 in Norway, then we have to plan a Norway trip. But, like, what if we get there and, like, I'm just, like, too well liked in Norway, and I'm like, I can't go back. They're giving me a real sweet deal here, Harrison Matt. like life is too good for me over here.
That's when we bid you a fond farewell. We say, hey, listen,
And replace you with a monkey or something.
been a fun ride. Yeah.
I'll cry when we say goodbye. You guys won't.
I won't cry only because the podcast will make so much more sense. But other than that,
It would be an
missed.
even trade if Norway gave us like their lamest podcaster in exchange.
Here's Bonobo, the jabbering chimp.
Bombada.
It's like one of those jokes about a bad it's like one of those jokes about a bad sports trade. They give you like a fucking Gatorade cooler and like a towel rack or something.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. Like I think that was the what was the was it Woody Harrelson and Will Ferrell where he's like I wish you were still a washing machine or whatever.
Yeah, I wish you were still watching. I saw a funny one the other day. What was it? It's Shannon Sharp about fucking Kuzma. And he's like, I would trade Kuzma for a pack of Clorox wipes.
Oh
I
no.
was like, that's fucking cold, man.
Ouch.
Kristian, what's your history with this movie? Are you a fan of it? Have you seen it before?
So this movie came out in 1984, and I was 4 years old at the time, but I didn't really grow to appreciate it until I was closer to 7 or 8. But at the time, I was a huge Masters of the Universe fan, and to me, this kind of felt like the closest thing to that in live action, and
Much closer than the actual Masters of the Universe.
oh, exactly, much closer, and it's kind of got that weird Saturday morning cartoon feel about it, and the characters are all over the top, and it's a ragtag group on a quest. As a kid, I adored this movie, and there are a couple, we can talk about it later, but there were a couple parts that like freaked me out, and there were other parts that like confused me. But when I say confused, I mean like they were maybe a little too explicit for a kid.
Yeah.
But yes, and I watched this movie so many times, and I didn't
So
revisit it again.
you're saying you actually learned the birds and the bees from the little speech that guy gives.
No,
When a man, he takes the woman, he He holds her in a way.
You just grab him. You just take him.
Grab him. You just take him. Yeah.
Yeah, all the sex talk in this movie is awkward, and it's like one of those things where, like, are they just in character speaking euphemistically, or did the writer really not get it? Like, it's hard to tell sometimes. It's just like, okay, so I've got this scene that I want to have a sex talk in, and the internet isn't invented yet, and I'm a virgin, and I have no idea what I'm doing here. So
how do you sex?
Yeah, let's just keep it vague,
Honestly,
and nobody will notice, maybe.
Honestly, I like the scene because, surprise, surprise, I thought Olivia Dabo was really good in this.
Oh, God.
Classic Colin. Boy, we gotta have like the morning disc jockey sound effects for every time Colin decides that an actress is super talented, who just coincidentally happens to be very hot.
That's not fair. I thought all the actresses in this movie
For the
were
record,
talented.
Colin thinks all hot actresses are super talented, not just Olivia Diabo.
You might change
what
your
I
mind when
said.
you find out how old she was in this movie.
Oh, now we need.
Do you want me to tell you how old she was in this movie?
Now we need like this sad slide whistle sound where it's like.
I'll add it in.
Deflating, yeah.
You see, they are the ones saying "boing." Okay, I didn't say that.
I'm just
but you implied
describing
it.
the action that I'm seeing on the Zoom call for the folks at home.
This is unfair.
Wait, just for the
This is
record, how
unfair to
old
me.
is she in this movie?
In this movie,
Yeah.
this will blow your mind. She's 14 years old.
No.
And she kisses
No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger on the mouth.
Barely.
It is-
Yeah,
it's a pretty
look it up.
chaste
She's
kiss.
14. And the only reason I know that is because the same year she was in a Bo Derek movie. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh,
and she
I
did
read
a
about this.
She did a fully nude scene, and she was only 14. So it was like this really controversial thing. Yeah, she's
Wow.
14 in this movie.
That is controversial and a little gross.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad I didn't think she was that good in this movie. No.
I'm glad I saw this movie when I was under 14.
What do you think, you're grandfathered in?
So I looked her up to see what else she was in because I feel like she's so familiar. I mean, I know that her sister or her cousin or something is in one of the
Miriam.
Bond movies. Yeah.
Her identical cousin, Miriam.
Yeah, what is she in? Oh, she's in Living Daylights. Is that the
Yep.
one?
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm looking her up, and I'm like, God, her face is so familiar to me. I know she's from something. And finally, Christian, I landed on it. Do you remember in Wayne's World 2 when Garth meets his like female equivalent? And she looks exactly
Yeah.
like him. Dude, that's her.
That was her. Wow.
That's crazy.
That's
I can't
crazy.
believe it.
See, she is good.
She was also the older sister on the Wonder Years. For those of you who remember that show.
I always wondered about that.
For years.
And she also had a recurring run as a serial killer on Law and Order: Criminal Intent, opposite Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's got strong serial killer vibes.
According to her IMDb, this was her first movie ever. Conan the Destroyer.
Good start.
That's
Good start.
That's a good start.
Did she have a career first or her cousin?
I think it was her cousin, but
I would
don't know.
assume it's her cousin, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
I guess
We should have got a Dabo
I guess we
expert.
can use the internet to look it up, but
Colin, who's hotter?
So
This one or the other Diablo?
So wait, the other one is from Living Daylights.
Yeah, I remember
The one
she's
she's the one. She's a cello player.
cello.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I don't know, man. I think I gotta go. You know what? I shouldn't be made to choose. You guys already made me to look like one of them perverts.
Yeah, just
That's
so you
not
know, this
fair.
is a trap. This is a trap.
this is an
It seems like a
intervention.
trap. Seems like a trap. I'm backing away.
okay.
All right, look, we're already talking about the cast. Obviously we got the love interest, but there's another there's a, like Christian mentioned, there's a band of crazy characters in this movie. Let's start hitting the heavy hitters here. I mean, we got Wilt Chamberlain.
Another Bond veteran. Oh, sorry.
Who's the other Bond veteran? Oh,
Mayday.
oh, yeah, of course. Of course. Here she is.
Grace Jones.
On my screen right now. Yeah.
Well, we got Mr. Statistics himself on the basketball court and in the bedroom, Wilt Chamberlain.
who makes Arnold look very, very small every time they're in a scene together.
Right, and here's a fun fact. That we'll talk about later, I'm sure, but the monster at the end was actually played by Andre the Giant.
Oh,
really?
They should have said, "Wilt do double time." Why didn't they just put him in the giant suit?
Yeah, no,
Probably
for
wasn't
real.
like girthy enough.
Yeah, Andre the Giant's bigger in the middle.
He didn't work for peanuts.
Not the middle of the court, but the middle of the body.
Well,
yeah,
you don't know
Wilt
that.
Chamberlain's little in the middle, but he's got much back.
Oh.
Then we got Bob the Goon is in this movie.
Yep.
Hell yes. Killing it. How many jewels did he eat? What's the over-under on that?
Oh my gosh, that was one thing as a kid. I was like, "Is that candy?" I was confused. I was like, "Is he eating like suckers? Is he?"
Is that candy?
Like, why isn't there a scene with him, like, shitting or puking?
I know, like,
Or at the
picking
end, they
through
just
it.
show him with like a pile of the jewels, and you know where they came from. Yeah.
Or just at the end, they just show him digging through a pile of his own feces. That's like, it's got like brown everywhere.
That's the final shot of
Yeah.
the movie. It like fades out gracefully as he's like,
But honestly, the thing is like, so yeah, you're a jewel thief, and every once in a while you have to swallow a jewel and like regurgitate it to get away with it. But the way he's consuming them, he's just putting them down left and right. That man's gonna fucking die. Okay, I didn't see him eat any real food.
No water or anything.
No water.
Yeah, it started off as just like a practical measure to hide the jewels, and then he was like, these aren't bad.
It's funny, this is a funny-
I'm digging this.
This is kind of funny. So I mentioned Wilt Chamberlain and his 20,000 women thing. And it's funny because his character in the movie is tasked with protecting the girl's virginity. And it's like,
Yep.
wrong guy to ask.
Never happened in real life. Yeah, this is how you know that. This is how good an actor he was. He really should have made more movies. I was convinced.
is he in other movies or is this his sole film debut?
I
don't
don't
know
know
of
if he's
anything
in
else.
anything else. He might. I feel like he must have been, except that I feel like I would also probably know it if he was.
He's been in, this was the only movie, and then he was in Any Given Sunday as a cameo.
Really?
As a cameo.
Was he one of the dicks?
He played himself.
He plays himself.
And then
yes.
some TV, he just appeared on some variety show. So yeah, this is his only acting role.
Wow, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad at all.
And I read that he replaced someone at the last second too. They had someone else.
Who was it,
choice.
Matt?
I don't know. They didn't say.
Oh,
He was kind of it
you
was
guys
cool
know-
because he was just as intimidating as Arnold, but in a different way. Arnold's this big, beefy guy, and Wilt's this big tower. So it's kind of cool to have those two
Well,
types of characters.
as I'm watching this for the first time, I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, is Arnold bigger? Like, I couldn't remember. I'm like, how tall is Wilt Chamberlain? I thought he was really tall, And the whole first half of this movie is him on horseback, so you can't really tell how tall he is until all of a sudden, there's one shot where they're trying to get into somewhere, and he's standing.
They're
right next to
pushing up a
Arnold.
wall. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's
Yeah.
2 times the size of him. He's gigantic. I was like, holy crap.
yeah. I was trying to figure out how tall Olivia Diabo is because there's a scene where she comes up almost to Wilt Chamberlain's sternum, and I was like, shit, she's pretty tall because that's a little she's literally not even coming up to his nipples, and I'm like, wow, she must be really big because he's very tall. He's also
he had an acting coach, and the whole job of the acting coach was teaching him how to crouch. There's a shot where it looks like his feet are gonna drag the ground when the horse is coming right at the camera.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I didn't understand how they must have had giant horses.
Yeah, on IMDb they said they had a hard time finding him a horse. They had to bring one in from Spain or from Mexico or something. They had a special order him a horse.
It's like a giant horse, right?
He went through 18 horses on this movie.
And that was just his meal budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every horse showed up and immediately tried to run away, and they had to be like, "No, you're doing the scene." Yeah, no, and there was also a lot of behind the scenes stories about him and Arnold having weightlifting contests and how he just kicked Arnold's ass in every weightlifting contest because he just Wilt was a professional athlete who was just could just absolutely kill a bench
conditioned.
press. Yeah, he was famous in the NBA for breaking records of bench press weights and stuff like that because it's easy to look at him in the short shorts on the basketball court being so tall and think that he was thin, but it's kind of like a Yao Ming thing. Like if you ever saw him in person, his legs were like tree trunks, and it's like he just looks thin because he's so huge, but in actuality he's like, just dense, just solid muscle.
I believe it. I've heard of Wilt Chamberlain, believe it or not. I've heard of him before. He's pretty famous.
Let's talk about Mayday herself. Grace Jones is in this movie. I was surprised to find out that she doesn't have a very long filmography. She's pretty much in this and View to a Kill. And
Sting's Demolition Man video. Oh, no, it's not Sting's Demolition Man video. She did her, it's her Demolition Man video.
She's on a lot of soundtracks. Yeah,
she recorded the song Demolition Man, yes, and I think she might have even done the original version of that and is in the video, rocking very hard.
You guys knew this. You knew she basically introduced Dolph Lundgren into Hollywood, right?
Yeah, I think we covered that.
They were a couple, like intense, because he was some Swedish model that she dated,
and he was just hanging out on set a lot. Hanging out with her.
Yeah, and they're like, you're kind of a useful guy, martial arts, and then boom, he's a movie star.
We did cover this, because doesn't he show up as an extra in some movie that we covered?
I think it's a View to a Kill. I think we talked about this in the View to a Kill episode, because he's like one of the random background guys, and it's like, what's Dolph Lundgren doing in this movie? And it's literally because she was just dragging him to set every day to hang out, and they're like, hey, put on a suit, get in the background there.
What an odd couple.
And the legend was born.
Which one?
Speaking of to DVD legend,
odd couple, I think that the slight romance between Grace Jones and Tracy Walter in this movie is a very odd pairing of the thief Bob the Goon and Mayday.
I love the scene when he's like rubbing the cream into her wound on her leg, and she's like, "What are you doing?" Yeah. He's like, "I'm rubbing your wound."
I'm trying to touch outer labia.
Who knew eating rocks was such an erotic thing to do?
Erotic.
Yeah. It's an aphrodisiac. It's got him hard as a rock.
Yeah. I eat diamonds, and now I am diamonds. I don't know.
That's
a good...
Kristian, why'd you do that?
I'm sorry. I actually...
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I never blame the guest. We gotta blame Matt. Matt, why'd you do that?
Don't bring me into this. I want no association.
There's one of Hollywood's kind of unsung badasses is also in this. He was in Never Say Never Again. He was in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. His name's Pat Roach. He's the guy that Indy fights under the plane, and he's always the guy that Indy fights in the like pinnacle fight, the big henchman guy. He plays the beast with nipples in this, and he's very odd looking, but it's just funny to me. Oh, yeah. They always pick these. He always plays this like tough as hell, genie wearing bad guy. He's always got these big genie kind of pants on.
He was in the first Conan movie too, right?
Yeah, he was. Yep, and had I think multiple parts in the first Raiders of the Lost Ark, and was actually in all three of the first three Raiders or Indiana Jones movies.
That's actually how you become a genie. Is if you meet a genie and you see them and you're like, oh, I wish I could wear pants like that. Boom, you're trapped in the bottle. Genie's free. It's over.
Even if you say something more ambiguous, like "I could never pull off those pants," it's over.
Boom.
Boom.
You're trapped.
In some ways, though, it's kind of cool. That was another reason that was appealing about this movie. There are some like Indiana Jones elements to this movie, like the treasure hunting and like booby trap temples and like especially there's a scene where they have to recover the horn, which is very phallic. But she has to walk into the fire like Khaleesi. It was a very Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom.
Yeah, it's almost like this movie was really trying to hit the franchise's stride, and then the franchise never happened. You know, like
yeah. Although I don't understand. I mean, I know the reasons why, but I don't understand why somebody couldn't have worked this out, because it was I mean, I guess it wasn't a successful movie. I guess that's the real answer. But like, it was a good movie. And it seems like this was built to be a solid franchise. They clearly set all the building blocks in place, And they had the continuity of Mako comes back as Akiro, the magician.
He's good.
And he's narrating, and they kind of, they had callbacks to the first one, and they had this sort of similar ending. Yeah, the fucking camel.
Crumb.
Should we just do the summary? Is it?
I think so. Yeah, let's just knock it out.
I love Harris's disappointment, though. It's like, you had a time machine and you didn't go back to kill Hitler. You went back to try to make Conan 3.
I mean, if we're trying to right wrongs and undo injustices, who am I to say which one is like the greater wrong? I don't know. I'm not going to qualify. I'm not going to get a debate and try to qualify these.
Yeah,
things,
Colin, have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? Who knows what effects will happen?
Yeah.
As a result of, my God, I don't even know. All right, Harris, you ready?
Exactly. Yeah, I guess. I'm not. I'm gonna kill this.
The plot's not that hard. I mean, I feel like you can knock this one out. Just
maybe.
Much like myself, just try to stay away from the details and just get the large.
I'm gonna look up after I finish describing the first act, and it's gonna be like a minute and 30's gone by.
Yes, that always happens. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Conan.
Okay, so we pick up with Conan and this thief guy who isn't the thief from the last movie. It's a new thief. It's Bob the Goon. Oh, I'm already blowing it. And they get attacked by these random dudes, and they think it's a guy they stole money from, but it turns out that it's his queen, Taramis, and Wilt Chamberlain, and the queen is trying to hire Conan for a job, but instead, to do that, she has 8 of her guys get killed by him. And the job is to escort her niece to this place where she's got to get a crystal from a wizard, and the crystal leads her to a horn, and then they're going to bring the horn back, and that's how the queen is going to resurrect this god, according to some prophecy. So they set off on this journey, and along the way they pick up this wizard Akiro that was from the first movie, and they also pick up Zula, a Grace Jones, and and then they get to this wizard's place. And a bunch of shit happens, and the girl gets kidnapped, and they go in after her, and they fight the wizard, and they beat him, and they get the crystal, and then they go and they get ambushed by the queen's guards, and they're like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" And then Wilt Chamberlain tries to kill Conan, and he's like, "What the fuck did you do that for?" And Wilt Chamberlain says, "I thought you were trying to hurt Jenna, the girl." And for some reason, Conan buys this because he's a fucking moron. I don't know. And so then they continue on, and they get the horn from this ancient temple, and they have to fight their way out, and there's engravings and weird shit. And then they go back to the I can't even remember, but they go back to the queen, and the queen takes the girl, and it turns out she's going to have to sacrifice Jenna in order for the prophecy to come through. And they find this out, and Conan and the thief and the wizard and the Grace Jones all raid the temple, and they have to fight the monster because the god becomes a monster, and Conan has to rip its horn out with his bare hands. And at the end, they live happily ever after, except for Conan, who doesn't want to marry the hot 14-year-old. He decides to wander the earth and be miserable on his throne again. The end.
All right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not your best.
That wasn't
Not terrible, though.
That was better than I really didn't prepare, so also, there's something about we've had Jenna Quigley as a guest before, and there's something about every time they say the name Jenna in this movie, I always think of Kyle saying his wife's name as Gianna. Gianna. And I always every time they said it in this movie, I was like, that doesn't seem like a Conan name. I know they spell it with an H,
but you can't hear the H, so it just sounds like you're saying Jenna.
You can't hear the H.
Where is the H?
It's like Jehnnna.
I mean, it could be anywhere though, Colin, because you can't hear it.
Yeah. Right.
It's like HJNA.
It might as well be.
Are you saying you want an HJ from a 14-year-old, Colin? What the fuck?
God damn it, man.
There's your cold open.
Yourself deeper, Colin.
Why? Why you do this to me?
Just stop already.
I didn't do anything.
Did you guys catch that when they're in the cave and they're breathing and you can see the smoke breath coming out?
They're all vaping.
Yeah.
It looks like they're all vaping. They definitely have some effect, or there's something in their mouth that is projecting the smoke.
There's one. There's one. I couldn't figure out how the thief was doing it repeatedly in one scene without breaking. but there's one point where they all walk through a door, and every one of them turns to favor camera slightly and blows a plume of smoke out of their mouth, and then turns and walks down the hallway. Like they must have just like taken a drag, walked.
I'm watching that shot right now. Actually, that is happening.
On IMDb, it says they all had dry ice in their mouths because they couldn't afford to make the set cold. So there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
But it's distracting. It looks so strange.
Yeah, it looks not.
Yeah,
I
especially
like
because
it.
it's not like breath. It's clearly like them blowing steam from their mouth.
I like
Very
it because
strange.
the whole magic, that's like a whole magical castle. Like, it's mysterious. It's like, maybe it's not just cold that's happening to them. you know?
Maybe, yeah.
It's anybody who enters this castle shall have the affliction of dry ice in thy mouth.
Yeah. That's a spell. That's like on page 6 of this.
Also, this
spell
this
book.
beast, I think Matt's at the same part I am, but this beast always remind me of oh crap, the villain, the Mum Ra from Thundercats with his red hood, and like he's kind of got the Mum Ra face a little bit.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like an Uruk-hai as well.
Oh, he totally
the
does.
mouth is
yeah.
really
Lord of the
weird.
Rings.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, so this is basically like your He-Man Thundercats fantasy crossover right now.
So I have a question for Colin. Colin, didn't Conan get rid of his Wheel of Pain necklace in the first movie? Didn't he rip it off?
Yeah, but he got a gold one for his second movie.
We saw that.
I know he ripped it off as a statement, but like he liked it.
He ripped it off and handed it to the jeweler to have it gold
I
plated.
guess, yeah.
He's like,
I imagine
take this and bling this up for me.
I
Make it
imagine
cooler.
he rips it off. Yeah, he rips it off. He throws it aside and like forgets about it for a while. But then like he meets like a jeweler from this realm, from this crazy land, and then he's like, yeah, I can do whatever I want now. I'm free. But I missed my necklace. It reminded me of the pain. But I'm better than the pain.
What happened was, for a while there, he was wearing a House of Pain necklace, and then that sort of fell out of fashion, and he was like, "Oh, those guys aren't cool
Jump
anymore."
around.
Yeah, jump around.
I love
Get
while,
out
while
the
he's
seat.
while he's fighting that beast. I love that shot when he's twirling him around and you just see him looking up like, ah! That's such a great shot. It's so hokey, but I love it.
I was actually expecting
really
this
good
movie to
one.
be way hokier, but I was surprised at how like on par this movie is with the first one. It's got a little bit more fantastical elements going on with monsters and stuff.
But I mean, we're in like a fucking sword and sorcerer world, like so.
A lot of
I kind
saucers.
yeah.
Like an animated
kind of
mist
okay with that.
pterodactyl. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, the first one had James Earl
Awesome.
Jones transforming himself into a giant snake, so it's not
Yeah.
like we don't have some fantasy elements involved in these.
Yeah.
But
I think I think the missed pterodactyl was like when I was really hooked in by the movie the original time I saw it. I can't really remember that well because it was a long time ago, but when that missed pterodactyl shows up, it's like,
can we start
man.
calling it a mistodactyl to save you that syllable?
I don't know. Is the P still
Doesn't
silent?
have that ring to it that I'm looking for.
Can we talk about the cheesiest and my least favorite part of this movie now?
Ooh,
Please.
That we
wait.
teased it earlier.
I have an
and-
idea though. What if it's like a song and we take the melody from Kelly Clarkson's Miss Independent and it's like, what happened to Miss Pterodactyl? And like
I feel like that would be so much funnier if I had any idea what song
Yeah,
it was.
same.
it's like, oh fuck you guys. I mean, sorry, I don't like being mean to them, even though they continue to try to make me look like a pervert. I've asked them to stop politely.
Oh my god, can we continue calling it pervert? though?
Yes, that's how you say it. Christian, how do you say pervert?
Just like
No,
that.
that's like that's.
I'm not going to
but
say it 'cause it'll
that's
be
like
used
the-
against me. I know it.
But no, you're saying it like it's a verb, but you're using it like it's a noun.
Harris, what's your favorite cheesy part of this movie?
My least favorite cheesy part is when he punches the camel. It's just so dumb. It's so dumb and forced. It's trying in a movie that really seems like it's effortlessly kind of adventuring, it's the one part where it feels like this movie's trying way too hard.
Okay,
Well,
here's
the camel did
it's
bukkake
bad.
all over him, so
that's true.
Yeah. But it's like even the entire start of the conversation, like the reason the camel spits at him is because he acknowledges that it's a camel from the previous movie that he punched. But he only acknowledges this because the thief that he's with reminds him, but that thief wasn't fucking there because the thief was a
Exactly.
different thief in the previous
You're
movie.
stealing the thing I was
Doesn't
just
make
about
any
to
fucking
say.
sense.
But yeah,
Oh, sorry,
I was
man.
like,
go say it all. I'll just edit me out of this one.
so the guy says, "Doesn't that animal look familiar?" And my first thought was exactly that. Like, how the fuck does this guy know he wasn't there? What is this? Is his punch to the camel known far and wide in this world?
Yeah, that's how I interpret it. He's known for like having a beef with this camel or camels in general, and like
Conan
that
the
leads me to
Destroyer.
believe that he. Yeah, that leads me to believe that like when he was wasted in the village in the first one and punched a camel, that was just one incident in like a pattern, if you will, of behavior.
Like he's a serial camel
could be.
puncher.
Yes.
I think so. Well, he does punch a horse later during the fight, during that opening fight where he
Yeah.
murders a bunch of the Queen's guards as a job audition or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just Conan is like just really violent towards animals. Like he can't help it.
I mean,
You know?
put a fucking shirt on, dude.
Man.
Well, because he was clothed a lot more in the first one. Like he didn't show this much skin in the first one, if I remember right. I think he.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he wore pants a little bit more.
Did he wear pants? I know he wears pants in Red Sonja. I don't remember him wearing a lot of pants in the first one.
I need my slacks.
He's not wearing a lot.
But slightly more than this.
He does seem like he's like got a real good like pump going in this one. I don't know if I can't remember. He just seems like he's bulkier than he was in the first. And he looked big in the first one, but in this one there's some scenes where he's like posing with his sword that I'm like, Jesus, this guy's bulbous.
I thought he looked tanner. Is what I saw, like more of a coloration to the skin that looked like he'd been getting that sun out there on Venice Beach.
Maybe.
Wow, I really shut down the conversation with like just saying he looked tan. What the fuck?
We're all mesmerized by whatever scene we're all watching.
Yeah. Right.
When I pump, it's like I'm coming.
Also, and I love this. This was a big trope in. It happens in
Calming
Red
everyone.
Sonja too. This whole. We killed the boss. Now the whole castle's gonna collapse. Let's get out of here.
yeah.
No
Yes.
explanation as to why it just starts collapsing.
Well, it was all an
It's
illusion.
a magic castle.
Yeah, I think this is another one where I don't know if this like these type of movies inform video games, or vice versa. I assume based on the year, I assume it's these movies informing the games. But it is such like a video game scenario where you beat the big boss, and then the whole world just crumbles as you escape.
Yeah.
Also, why no great Conan video games? I this is a real missed
Yeah,
opportunity. I
it's
haven't
a
played
mystery.
the PS4.
Well, what was that one that was
It
kind of
can't be
like
that
Conan,
good.
where it was like a guy with an axe?
Gauntlet?
Gauntlet
Axe?
Legends?
Golden Axe is what I was thinking.
Oh yeah,
of,
Golden Axe. Yeah, Golden Axe.
Here's the thing: when he like finally throws the sword through the final mirror, and then the guy walks out, he looks really sad. Like the wizard, the evil wizard, he looks really sad. And I actually kind of felt like a little bit of sympathy for that evil wizard, because at that point, we don't know exactly how evil he was. He wanted to make it. Sure, he was probably pretty evil. I don't know.
He seemed like he could have been like a merry prankster.
Yeah, is he like megalomaniac evil or like middle management evil? We don't quite know.
Yeah, or guard this precious stone that could bring back an evil demon.
He did kidnap a 14-year-old and put him in his bed, so he could be a pervert. What do you guys say? Pervert?
The bed he put her in did not look of that world. Did you guys catch that? No. It looked of like Sears, 1982.
Yeah.
He could have been misguided in some way. Like he was told that this was. I don't know.
Well, he puts her in the waterbed and he doesn't do anything about it. So maybe he was just being paternal and protective. He's like, listen, you can't steal my precious jewel, but you can have a nice nap in this waterbed from Sears. And I'm not going to do anything perverted. See, I'm trying to mispronounce it the other way, too.
Perverted.
I mean, this set is pretty fucking cool, though. I like this whole like ice castle or whatever. There is a.
I think it's supposed to be like a combination of like what we think of as like an ice type material, but also like a crystal type material. Like it's supposed to look like both, kind of.
Yeah, ice comes in crystals.
Coming.
Wilt Chamberlain's hips are like up around Arnold Schwarzenegger's
coming.
shoulders.
Yeah.
I like this shot where like they're escaping the ice castle and there's like in the foreground all these big like ice pillars and it's clearly like the cameraman like kicking them and like one by one they fall. You guys remember that?
Yes.
I like when they're rowing away and it's like whatever Conan's doing to row the boat does not look like propulsion.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
It looks like he's just
He's
like
stirring.
And that oar isn't very ergonomic. It's got like big horns that'll jab you in the chest.
Oh,
every
yeah,
time you
look
make
at
a
that.
move.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't look like it has a big range of motion either. It looks like it only goes back and forth like about a foot.
Right, because I think it's just a thing that you use to steer, really. And he's kind of just flicking it back and forth. You still
Yeah, and
need
no
oars,
one's
I think.
helping him at all.
Yeah.
There's a ton of times where like no one helps Conan. They're just like, we know what he's here for. He's here to like do all the things that require any kind of strength or action. You know?
One of the things that I find endearing about these movies that is kind of cheesy and about a lot of the things from this era is like the large amount of styrofoam rocks that you see in these things. Like basically anytime a temple crumbles or an earthquake happens or a monster attacks, there's always an array of large, like torso-sized rocks that just kind of bounce around unnaturally and like occasionally will glance off of people without them noticing and stuff. They're very convincing until you see them move.
There's that one shot in
kinda like
particular
fake
where
boobs.
he's like stuck in the like the rocks fall down and they're stuck in the cave when Bombada is escaping. You know, he's like kidnapping the girl basically, and then Arnold has to like roll across them, and they don't even add the sound effect of like rocks like crumbling into each other, but and so it just clearly is like styrofoam pillows that he's like rolling over.
I love how in like worlds like this that a cave-in is possible basically like in any kind of cave. You know, you just if you hit the ceiling hard enough, you're gonna have a cave-in that's like the size of a door that closes.
Don't sneeze! I don't want to cave in.
I'm watching that sword fight where you were talking about earlier. It's basically a flex off with swords. He's just sitting there flexing and posing. Oh my gosh, he's huge. Fun fact: the guy he's fighting actually played Thorgrim in Conan 1, the guy with the big mallet. Sven Ola Thorsen. I guess he's one of Arnold's good friends, so he's in a lot of Arnold's movies. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, but the guy he's fighting in the Destroyer is wearing like a snake helmet, kind of a callback maybe to the first movie a little bit without directly tying it in. I don't know.
You're talking about
but this guy's part of that snake.
Oh yeah,
cult.
look at that! It is a snake. I'm watching that scene right now. Yeah, Christian, I think we're at the
That
same.
guy's the
exact
same guy that he kills in the first Conan with the guy with the big mallet.
I'm really surprised in this movie there's not an instance where he sees like a statue or an artifact or an actual snake or something snake shaped and says, "I hate snakes," you know, like just to fucking
Snakes.
like it's
Why did it have to be snakes?
yeah, right.
Fuck you, snake.
But like, isn't that better? Isn't that better than making him punch a camel again? Like, I realize it's like it's not a lot better, but
I had a bad experience with snakes.
When I step on the snake, it's like I'm coming.
instead-
I also hate James Earl Jones. Get that guy away from me.
but instead they want to play up the fact that he's known throughout the realm
For punching a camel.
for hitting camels.
I wonder if that's from comic book lore.
Maybe.
I think it was probably just the biggest laugh moment of the first movie, and they were like, "Oh, we got to bring that back. Everyone loves it."
In the first 5 minutes.
Except PETA.
Yeah, exactly. They won't understand that it's a sequel unless we bring this back.
It'll really tie it all together.
This sword fight wasn't it's probably the most elaborate sword fight in any of these Conan movies.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good sword fight in like the sense of, you know, it just sort of looks like they're clacking their swords together. It's very reminiscent of the Red Sonja sword fight where they're just like taking turns, you know, hitting each other in the swords with their swords. But I will say this, at least the guy didn't use the normal goon strategy of charging at Conan stomach first with his sword high above his head.
So there'd be a huge explosion of blood when he hits him.
Please, I have too many guts. Can you help me with this attack method?
I do feel like the action choreography has some more stuff going on. There's some actual moves. He's better with the sword, like twirling it and
he twirls it,
moving it like with speed and stuff like that. And then you also see a lot of like cool moves out of the other actors doing physical stuff. One thing that like stuck out to me when I watched it is what's the thief? Malik, right? Malik. So, like, he's kind of a coward in the battles, and he just hangs back with his couple of little daggers and, like, just kills a guy every once in a while. But, like, I started to notice he's actually, like, doing, like, a lot of murders. Like, if anyone goes down with, like, a regular injury, he's, like, making them real dead. And, like, it's kind of disturbing if you think about it. Like, he's just going around, and if a guy, like, got slashed in the leg and he's like, I'm not fighting Conan anymore, he's, like, going up to them and, like, stabbing them in the gut and slitting their throat.
If there was, like, a Geneva Convention in this world, he would be tried for war crimes because he's constantly, like, killing injured enemy combatants and stuff like that. Like, he's the only one who's actually murdering people. Other people are just killing people in combat. He's like,
but he's the comic relief.
In the spleen when he's not looking.
Yeah, that's what's so weird about it is he's the comic relief guy, but he's also like the nastiest murderer in the fucking whole thing. The
murdery comic relief.
So now, wait, Harris, you mentioned in your summary there that it was a different guy in the first movie, right? Is it supposed to be?
Yes.
He's not supposed to be the same guy. They have different names.
They have different names.
No, he's a thief type.
So what? That guy, they just didn't want that guy back, I guess.
And remember, the other guy was an archer, and this guy is a sneaky backstabbing dagger guy.
And he eats jewels. The other guy didn't eat any jewels.
The jewel-eating dagger.
I mean, this guy's way more interesting. I like this guy. He's more memorable to me.
The thing is like Conan is in the Conan world, and like he had the brotherhood with the first thief guy, and whatever happened between them, or like maybe something happened to him, we don't know. But Conan lost that guy in his life, and like what he's moved on to is knowing that the partner he needs for like his questing, is it like another thief type, and that's how he came across Malik and.
That was what the casting notice said.
Yes.
Conan looking for thief type. Race not specified. Somewhere between the age of 30 and 40. I think it's odd that Conan is, at one point the Queen calls him the King of Thieves or something like that. And I think it's odd that he's internationally renowned at this point. Like, everywhere he goes, people know his name. Like, random strangers, like Zula, the Grace Jones character, when he frees her, she says, like, oh, I want to talk to Conan. Everyone knows who this guy is. He's that famous for being, what? A guy who steals stuff?
Strong.
Strong, obviously. But it's not like he's a great warrior. He's a thief. He's literally a guy who sneaks around and steals shit.
Well, he did make that.
Well, he was a great
big
warrior.
like religious cult thing up on the stage,
right?
Chucking a head down the stairs,
right? But the Queen is calling him the King of Thieves, and they're hiring him because he's a thief. Like, everyone, like, this is apparently his job description is thief, not like warrior king or leader of tribes of.
It's
fighters.
It's like how those January 6th insurrectionists are all like world famous now. You know them by name.
Right? Exactly.
They overthrew the.
Yeah.
The snake cult.
The QAnon shaman, that motherfucker.
They overthrew the snake cult, and
right.
It's a real reputation builder. Yeah, but that's I don't really get why. Like, when does he become more than just some guy who's like stealing petty shit and getting drunk with his buddies?
He already was that. It's like he already went all the way.
I know he already was that. He still is. I'm asking when he's not anymore.
It's like there's only like so many things in this world, It's not like he's like. It's not like, he goes from being like strong guy to executive strong guy. Like, there's only so many things in the world, Like he was a warrior, he was a slave, he killed a lot of people, and he stole a lot of shit. And like Thief is what they need, and Thief is one of those things. So that's what it is.
Not a satisfying answer. Doesn't make any sense.
Fine.
How great is Arnold when he's acting drunk, though? It's so awful.
So good.
It's so bad.
It always makes me wonder if he like just never got drunk or something. But he's
almost
like,
feels
My body is a temple.
he's in Pumping Iron talking about how much he loves to drink beer and how that's what Austrians drink and milk is for babies and real men drink beer. And I just don't understand. Did he just never drink more than one? I don't understand.
Maybe it's like a macho thing. So like when he drinks in real life, he like tries really hard not to act drunk because like he's too tough to like really like be vulnerable like that. So when he gets on set, he has to be like to the director like, well, I don't know how to act drunk because it doesn't really affect me. You know?
Well, I got to give the guy some credit where credit's due. I mean, his acting all around from, this movie to the last one is like 1,000 times better. His English is great. Oh, yeah. He talks a whole lot more in this.
They gave him a lot more to do.
Yeah, I mean, he feels more like Conan in this to me.
Well, wasn't this was kind of right before he really blew up too? Like, didn't Terminator come out right after this?
Yep.
I think so.
Yeah, this movie came out like 3 or 4 months before Terminator came out.
Which is kind of, I mean, that's kind of amazing because in Terminator, it's almost like a regressive role for him.
Yeah. When
he's clearly shown he's got some chops, but that doesn't demand as much. But obviously, still made his career. It's funny. I was just thinking about how like when I was my second semester in college, I transferred this school in the middle of nowhere in northern Connecticut, and there was just nothing to do there. So I was just basically buying like 30 packs, and my roommate drank, but he was never around, and none of the other people I knew there drank. And I used to hang out with these guys in the floor below me who were all totally into like, working out, and they were on sports teams, and they were all really like muscular and strong and athletic, and they would never drink. And I remember one time, I think they all went in for like a 6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade. I was like, hey, I'm getting some alcohol. What do you guys want? And they're just like,
I want that real shit.
They were like, oh, it's a great idea. Let's go wild on Friday.
Get me a Zima.
6-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade. And they got lit up on like one Mike's Hard Lemonade apiece. So maybe if you're really taking care of your body, that's
they got big blood veins. They're more vascular. So like
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just distributing that alcohol throughout the body so quickly.
Let's talk about the music in this movie for a little bit. It's the same guy who does the music, but he changed up the main theme, right?
I like it though.
I like it too, but I like the first one also.
The best part is when you get like the theme and it comes in right at the right moment when Conan is finally victorious, but then he stops it, and then the other thief guy runs in and gets his little moment, and they hit the theme right on again.
Yeah. It's definitely very queued up to the moments in the movie really effectively, I think. Although I'm with you, I really like the music in this movie, but I think if like you played me the theme from the original Conan and didn't tell me what it was from like 5 years from now, I would probably be able to guess it. But I think if you played me this theme, I would have no idea.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the theme from the first movie is a bit more iconic, but that doesn't mean that the theme from this is bad. It's still good. It's just not as notable,
They reused the melody of the orgy theme from the last one when they're in the palace, like getting ready to sacrifice her.
That is just the kind of thing a pervert would notice.
God damn it! Why is this happening to me?
Colin, can we hear a little ditty? Can you like hum it or something?
No, because I can't. Oh wait, okay. It's like I'm scared. It's like. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Anybody with me?
Wow, chicka wow wow.
I don't hear it.
Did anybody order a pizza?
With extra snake?
Oh, extra snake.
When I bite down on the snake topping, it's like I'm coming.
And then he has to punch a camel immediately.
Yeah.
Punching the camel is what they call it now.
When that camel came all over me, it was like I was coming.
It's like, I gotta go punch the camel. This is all too hot. All this snake talk is too hot.
Let's talk about Wilt. How do we think he did in this movie?
He was very giant.
I wanted his character to have redemption at the end. We all saw it coming that he was going to backstab Conan at some point and try to kill him. But I feel like throughout the journey, we grew to love him. And I wanted him to, I thought he grew respect for Conan, and, I wanted to see him maybe try to kill him, but then, come back and save him at the end or something. But alas, we did not get that.
I didn't really pick up on that. I was ready for him to go. They're dropping hints all over the place that there's something going on where he's gonna betray Conan.
Hints.
And
hints. They're not dropping hints. The Queen tells him 20 minutes into the movie, after they get the horn, murder Conan.
He must die.
That's a big hint. It's just a hint. But yeah, I didn't really agree with that. We just became
so familiar with him. They say his name, Bombada or whatever it is, 1,000 times in this movie. I was like, yeah, I like this guy. I want him to be the hero of this movie.
In contrast to that, I disagree. I would rather see more Grace Jones' character having more of an arc. That's what I'd rather see.
I would watch a Wilt Chamberlain spin-off of this movie 1,000,000 times. This is another thing that when I go back in time, I would have a Boombada survived and went on his own adventures.
I cannot stop thinking about it. Every time, several times when you've started talking, Harris, I cannot stop thinking about you, having the power to change time and getting so self-righteous about how Conan 3 is the answer.
Look, I'm traveling through time to play the stock market and accumulate wealth, but my end goal is just to make more Conan movies with it.
Look, I have no time to explain. I'm from the future, okay? Look, we need to greenlight The Legend of Conan right now.
He says he's from the future?
Just give him the money.
Wait, so if we make this movie, it'll be a huge hit and we'll make billions? You got me.
We'll see.
I do like the aesthetic of the band of Merry Misfits in this movie a lot better than the band of Merry Misfits of the first movie. I feel like you've got
really
the giant, you've got the blonde, you've got the Asian wizard, and you've got the funny Weasley guy, and then you've got Conan. I feel like if you that's very Saturday.
And you left Grace Jones out again.
Oh my God,
there's more variety.
Right, keep forgetting her.
There's more variety. They don't all look like they're from the same tribe or same camp or
exactly.
whatever.
It's very like you said, Kristian.
Right.
It's very Saturday morning cartoon. If you drew a cartoon of this, they all look very different. Whereas in the first movie,
and the costume varieties are even more different too.
Yes.
Not that they didn't have different costumes in the first one. The wizard especially had a pretty cool costume. But in this one, they're all dramatically different outfits.
I like the costumes in this one better, I think. Although it's a really tough call, but I do think I like the costumes in this better. In Conan's costume, there's not a lot of difference, but that head thing he wears with the little nose guard in it.
Yeah.
That's a very
pointless and stupid.
Yeah,
but a cool little leather flare.
Maybe they wanted something that made his nose look narrower. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, perhaps.
Or the gap in his teeth smaller.
Yo, his gap is on point in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Or he had a big zit right at the middle of his eyebrows, and they're like,
maybe. Yeah.
Can we just turn the headband around so the little dangly thing is in the front?
Did his tooth gap ever change? Because I like the gap in this movie, but I feel like I don't see the gap as much later.
It does feel like it's gone smaller over the years.
Maybe he got braces or Invisalign or something.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, or just got him capped or something.
Yeah. Maybe we should get a sponsorship from the Gap.
Hey, now you're using your noodle. Yeah, I just felt like this movie had the pacing was good. The first movie, it made me realize how slow and kind of boring in parts the first movie was. This movie was just kind of zipping along, and there was always something going on, and it was fun. I was with it the whole time. I also went into this movie with low expectations. I had always known like the stigma of this movie is that it was the lesser of the two, or the weaker one. So I kind of went into it thinking that, and I guess I was, pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I'm at this point kind of leaning the other way. I'm kind of leaning towards like maybe Destroyer was what, like, that maybe that's the one for me.
Yeah,
It's my personal favorite between the two. I have it's more fun to watch.
Yeah,
I definitely saw this one more often growing up, and I've got like this is when people mention Conan, I think of, a lot of things, but I think James Earl Jones is the only thing I think about from the first one. In this one, it's like everything else, the princess and the monsters and Wilt Chamberlain and Grace Jones. That's like what I remember about Conan and associate with it. So
and despite all the blood hits,
this one says a sentimental
there's
value.
like a ton of blood hits in this movie with like blood gushing out and stuff, and
A
like
couple
slices,
decapitations.
couple of decapitations.
True.
Despite all that, despite Grace Jones's ass hanging out for like the entire movie, and I think you even get like a beaver shot when like there's a part when like she gets lifted up in the air and you see like right between her legs. I don't know if you guys caught that. This movie's rated PG.
Yeah.
So this is
I can't believe
what.
that I always get
When you have
targeted. I always get targeted for what I say. Matt's trying to pinpoint the beaver.
Not the 14-year-old one though. That's the key difference.
Yeah. This is just healthy American male right now.
But I didn't
Just
say
trying
anything
to-
about it.
Harris and
Just trying to
Christian
pause.
are in stern like agreement with me.
Yeah, just try to frame by frame that VHS tape. To get to the
Is now
specific
the good time to bring Chris Hansen on?
Yeah. Colin, we've got a surprise for you.
Oh,
pervert.
come on.
It's funny
I'm
too
not a
because this
pervert.
was actually cut down to get the PG rating. It was originally rated R, and they made some cuts. I guess probably to blood stuff. I suppose.
I do know that they did before the Queen sent Conan on the mission. There was a seduction scene there with he had with her because it kind of doesn't make sense. Like all of a sudden you cut to her and she's like almost naked and he's there.
Yeah.
They cut something out there, I think, to drop it down. I know that for sure.
Yeah, she had some random costume changes. She's wearing a shirt that's like a see-through shirt with a bird across her boobs in one scene.
Oh, and that's like only for a second.
It's
And
literally
that was
for like
costume-
one
Oh,
shot,
man.
and then she changes into another outfit. And I was like, "Wait,
That's-
that bird shirt looked cool. What's going on here?"
Yeah, I'm really upset about that. Like I was like really into that costume, and then it just goes away.
You're
and honestly,
upset about it. Think about how the costume designer feels.
My bird,
Like,
my precious
on my
bird.
magnum opus, the best thing I did. Yeah, the bird titty shirt was my the coup de grace of this entire movie.
Oh
and it
man,
got cut.
I could see that. I could see that being like a great like on set like drama playing out is like some AD or PA or whatever is like, oh, like the director's trying to cut the bird outfit again, and then they have to go tell the costume designer who is gonna throw a fit.
And that shot was like a consolation. We'll put the bird in a shot.
yeah.
There's your bird.
Oh man, man. But like, yeah, the evil queen. Yeah, she's looking good.
Does she
That's
seem
right.
like a good actress too, Colin?
I said it. Yes.
Yeah, don't forget,
That's what I'm
Colin
saying.
likes the
That's what I'm saying.
oldies too. Colin likes the oldies too.
The closer to Moneypenny age in
Yeah,
this
exactly.
movie that she's in.
It's pretty much that middle ground, that like Rene Russo, Michelle Pfeiffer, adult woman in her 30s that Colin stays away from. High or low, he's got no problems.
What's the most memorable line
times
from
with
this movie?
Crumb.
Crumb, yeah, every time he screams crumb. I want to start doing that in my real life more often.
Crumb.
Crumb.
Yes.
Anytime I would have said like Jesus or oh God
Yeah.
or what the hell.
Crumb.
I'm just going to go crumb.
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 I think it's when he yells, "Enough talk!" and he like throws the knife at the guy.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
great.
probably
That's
that's pretty
awesome.
iconic.
Great.
Yeah.
That's just a great moment too. Enough of your jibba jabba.
It's literally how I felt watching the scene. I was like, how's he gonna get out of this? I don't know. I'm like checking my watch. He's just like, "Enough talk!" I was like, yes, I'm right there with you.
I love that too. He's like he throws it like fully so hard that it just goes right through the guy, but like it plants in him, but it goes all the way through, and
Yeah.
like it's just like one of the goons too. Like he picked one at random, and that
I
guy.
thought it was like the main goon, like the leader.
It was.
The thing that threw
I
me
mean, I
off a
could be
little
wrong.
bit, and I know it was like a costuming thing, but it makes no sense. When they're having this epic battle that you guys are talking about, all the soldiers, none of them are wearing shirts. They all have helmets on and pants, so they're like tomatoes, basically, for Arnold. And just hit them and they explode into blood. It's like they're going to fight him, but they're like, forget your shirts and armor. You don't need it.
I also love. There's a scene where they climb in the big mouth thing to escape, but the mouth thing is not all the way shut. So the soldiers like go up to the unshut mouth and they like wave their swords underneath it, and Conan's waving his sword back so that they like just are tapping each other on the swords for no reason. It's like, are you fighting? What
tapping
is
each other on the swords is a word for another thing that they did at this time. Just if you got a friend with you, you don't have to punch the camel. You can just tap each other on the swords.
Oh my god!
Don't cross the streams though.
I do think that it's important that these men are bearing so much skin, especially because the women in these shows tend to always be wearing armor that's totally ineffective.
Right.
So it's nice that nobody's wearing good armor in this world. Just everyone's got shitty armor that shows off their bodies.
I mean, the blood hits in this movie are awesome.
Yeah, especially when
They are really good.
when Wilt is swinging, man, he hits somebody and it's like an explosion of blood with that mallet thing
Yeah.
he's got, that mace thing.
And I think
that
that's
weapon.
because that's probably because the prop is easier to pack blood squibs in, because I'm sure that blood is coming from the mace. So it's probably one of those things where like that mace is releasing a bunch of blood every time it thwonks somebody. There's another good line that I liked where it's like the opposite of the Roadhouse line, where Jenna asks, "I suppose nothing hurts you," and Conan says, "Only pain." and when she's like talking about Grace Jones and she's trying to get somebody to help Grace Jones and she's like, "There's 6 of them against her," and Conan's like, 1, 2, 3. I think you're right.
He wasn't acting. He was really struggling.
Now the worst is when he's pretending to be drunk.
It's really
That's-
bad, yeah.
That's the worst. Like I think we all agree. Yeah.
The face off of the two wizards is pretty great, man. They're like, you're making the cross-eyed faces and the hand gestures. I love that. That's so great.
Yes.
And that was such a clever way to do it without having
sounds-
like visual effects. I thought that was really effective.
It was so good. And the Akiro, that guy, the performance doing those sounds like
So good.
like that's so
Yeah.
good.
What's great about this movie is that it like so easily could have felt half-assed or like cheap, but yeah, it really does feel smart. Like they're making good decisions, good filmmaking decisions in a lot of the like effects pieces and all the set pieces and stuff. Like, everything's really kind of satisfying and feels earned and stuff when it easily could have been
They were
shitty.
using their whole ass.
Yeah. The whole ass. The whole enchilada. And like, so this movie is pretty comparable to the first one. You're watching it and you're just like, okay, it's a new adventure. Like it's pretty on par with the, what happened in the first movie. And then the whole end sequence takes it to another level. When they resurrect that
So awesome.
monster or demon or whatever, it's so awesome. It just totally
It always,
makes the movie
as a kid, it always
awesome.
reminded me of the Hellhounds from Ghostbusters, kind of, because they're like this really
Yes.
twisted, weird transformation, and you don't really get a good full look at the creature, which is another smart thing to do on a prop that's probably hokey looking.
Right.
And it was really cool.
Yeah, in fact, the worst shots of it are probably the widest ones where you see it's like webbed arms and stuff. But they do a good job of being judicious about how much they show and how often. And frankly, some of the close-up stuff looks great. When he's ripping that horn off and it's got all those tendons and shit inside. I remember, like, when I was a kid, I remember seeing that and being, like,
gross.
grossed out and, like, almost losing my lunch. Because it's like, when you're a kid, you think these things are kind of, they look real. And I was like, oh my God, that's like what it would look like if an animal was getting its horn ripped off.
So that's what the
Yeah,
inside of a
I
penis
absolutely, I absolutely was scared and grossed out by
Yeah.
that thing the first time I saw it. But it's just like, it's fucking cool, man. That thing is so cool. And they get like different kinds of blood and bile to like ooze out of it when the horn is ripped off. It's just, it's some good work there.
Yeah, and the fact that it's like, indestructible. Like Conan's hitting it with his sword, and they're stabbing it in the face with daggers, and nothing's hurting it until they figure out to rip the horn off. And of course, it's like something that's like the payoff is Conan's the only one strong enough to actually defeat this thing because it needs to be physically ripped from its skull.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like all that sinew and like, you know, oozing liquid coming out of the. Oh yeah, and he's got those weird like fish monster hands too.
Yeah.
Well, and he's got like the weird mouth thing he's got going on. He's got like the little sideways one up top, and then this like, almost like you guys said, it's almost vaginal like continuation down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like the vaginal mouth and the fish hands, like, you know, you turn it, you change him just a little bit. He's totally exactly
like the Dreamcatcher, whatever that movie is.
Oh God. I was gonna say it's almost a precursor to the Predator. The Predator has like webbed, kind of like fishy looking elements,
right?
And a vagina mouth.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
They perfected
Absolutely.
the vagina mouth for Predator. Once the technology wasn't quite there for this movie, but once they got to Predator, just like 5 or 6 years later, man,
I love
they knew what a vagina looked
I
like.
love that before the transformation, you know, the Queen had this vision in her head of this God coming to life and him just looking like the statue, like David, you know, like the Leonardo masterpiece.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as soon as she puts it in, it's this like horrendous thing, and she just gets immediately slaughtered.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I was thinking in this that I don't think I ever thought of before or noticed when I was younger, was, you know, you have this beautiful statue of this like boy with a horn in his head that's their god that they worship. And I always just assumed that they got more than they bargained for, or that it wasn't what it was made out to be. But then when I was watching it this time, the statue starts moving, and she says, as soon as it comes to life, we got to sacrifice the virgin. And I'm wondering if that is, I mean, it's totally implied, totally reading between the lines, but I'm wondering if that is sort of the consequence of not sacrificing the virgin, is instead of being this beautiful god boy with a horn in his head,
I think
it
you're
becomes
right.
an evil creature who starts just murdering everybody.
That's what Akiro says. Akiro says that that's what's going to happen when he like reads the text on the wall in the temple where they stole the horn.
Oh, okay. Then it isn't subtext. It is just right there. It's regular old text on a wall in a temple.
That's why the Queen, when it starts happening, and Grace Jones, she murders the priest man who's supposed to do the killing. The Queen starts freaking out and saying like, somebody kill her now, because like it's a monster and that's wrong. Yeah. And then at that point, like, there's some real incompetence going on with her like underlings, because they're all just like, what? You know?
Yeah. You'd think you'd have a backup virgin killer on hand, you know, like, you know, in execution,
or, you know,
normally
like, if
you have like a...
Yeah, or if you're in a palace like that and you are, you know, technically the monarch and you're barking out an order, somebody, I mean, these guys are really standing around. That's
We're just extras. We don't know.
So what I'm hearing, Colin, is that she is probably not a great manager, because she's allowed such lackadaisical...
I doubt her leadership skills, and honestly, maybe that's why they had to cut the bird costume scene, is because at that point she would have been too believable as a leader to, like, when she's out there in that bird costume, she's just
it's a power suit.
So beautiful and commanding, and just like, you know, you wear that costume, you've got your shit together. And then in the next scene, she's going to say, like, someone do something, and you got guys being like, well, I don't know.
It's not my job. I'm just a temp. You know?
Yeah.
Like, come on,
it
guys.
just, it doesn't come together.
I don't know if you guys...
And that's probably...
I know. It's always fun to see how modern media or games pulls inspiration from things. And I don't know if you guys play video games at all. I'm a big fan of the Uncharted series. And in one of the more recent games, one of the sought-after items, I don't know if you can see this, was the Tusk of Ganesh. And it looks almost exactly...
Oh, yeah.
It looks exactly like the horn in this movie. So when I was playing that game, I was like, Conan the Destroyer! That was so cool.
Yes.
I'm sure it was. Like, what was it we were talking about? Like, Mortal Kombat, like, ripped from Enter the Dragon, and it, like, basically
Big
the
Trouble in
creators of
Little
Mortal
China.
Kombat, like, the movies that they watched as kids, like, that's what they stole from. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, the Uncharted game series is amazing, but also it's very heavily inspired by, like, Indiana Jones. but just like adventure movies in general. I think it's got like that. They're very cinematic. It's amazing how after like the second one, they became these really just incredibly cinematic games. And I think a big part of that is like embracing sort of, it does embrace this sort of 80s movie mythos of like epic adventures and like insanely high body counts. But, but like it's always fun plot twists, double crosses, stuff like that, which is what you're seeing in this. It's set in obviously a different world than what we'd see in Indiana Jones or some of the other things that we're used to. But it is your basic adventure movie,
Do we have anything else left to say about this movie? The final scene, Colin, you were mentioning it earlier.
I feel sad. Like I don't, I'm thinking of like the character, not, as like being way too young. And like, I feel a little sad for her. I think she's doing a good job of being like, this whole thing, this is like a great thing that happened to me. And like, I like this crew, and me and this crew are going to like rule the kingdom now. And, like things could have worked out between her and him. And, it couldn't be that way, but it's a bittersweet, like, yeah, Conan's got to go on his adventures, but man,
what could have
he didn't want to be the first man,
Yeah.
His ego couldn't have taken it.
That's you may have a point, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. And then I like that it goes to that same final shot of him sitting on the throne in the future, presumably.
Oh, yeah.
Of the first movie. But did they just reuse the same footage, or did they reshoot that? Because he had a beard in the first one, but I didn't see the beard this time, right?
I think it's a reshoot.
He has a spear, too. I don't know if there's a spear in the first one, but he has a spear in this one.
Yeah, they definitely reshot it. He's got different armor and different weapons.
He's kind of covering his mouth. He's going like this.
Like you said.
So you can't see if he has a beard.
I don't think he's got a beard in this one, and I think he's supposed to look slightly younger. I have no idea. Anyways, this is interesting. The guy who did the creature design, so the guy who created the sideways vagina mouth creature from the Black Lagoon unicorn thing, is Carlo Rambaldi, who also designed E.T.
Oh, really?
He did special effects on Alien and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and the 70s King Kong. So he did a lot of fun, different, famous things.
This was actually
With
E.T.'s original look, and then they decided to change it.
Yeah. He also did The Neverending Story, and and he was the creature creator for Dune.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, wow. This guy's a fucking legend.
Didn't Dune come out in 1984 or 1985? Something like that.
84, I think.
They might have been
Same
shooting
year,
around the
yeah.
same time, if not.
They were actually, in
place.
fact, I read that on IMDb last night, that this movie has some of the same sets, and they were shooting at, like, literally the same time. Like, they were taking turns. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So he had a short commute from one set to the other. He's credited, too, as the creature designer just for Dagoth. So apparently that he just showed up and he was like, oh, you need a monster? I got monsters.
Yeah, because the other...
I'll give you my backup ET.
The other creature isn't that great. It's just
Well, I was
like
going to say,
mask and,
it's
a
like
weird-
there were some odd choices with that creature. It looked like they just glued prosthetics on and they just didn't bother to paint anywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
he had like
one.
man pecs and then green lining, and the arms were the worst. There were like patches just glued on in certain spots. I don't understand.
And his mouth is weird. He's got like a thing in his mouth, and it's just his tongue, and he's just like sticking his tongue out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Carlo Rambaldi is credited specifically as the creature designer of the one thing, because he was like, do not give me credit for anything else you did in this movie. I made the good monster.
Yeah, and honestly, like the satin hooded cape doesn't fully match for me.
I thought he pulled it off.
Okay.
They do that effect when like all the mirrors open up and like all the red hooded cloaked guys come out at the same time, but like there's clearly, I don't know if it was my TV or like it looked to me like an effect. Rather than hire a bunch of actors who all just wear red cloaks like and look kind of the same, they did some sort of weird effect there with mirrors.
He
or
like
something.
masked the same guy in 10 times.
Yeah, like why? Just use actors in red cloaks. They didn't have like a cloak budget or something.
Well, but they were gonna do that special effect where they all walk into each other to be the one
true.
person, right? So
yeah, that's fine. But in that
I like
wide
that
shot,
effect.
there's no reason.
Yeah,
But also, I thought that was kind of silly, too, because why be the one person when you can be all the people and be very confusing? But I did like that the guy was, like, made out of mirrors, and then at the end
That
when
was
they kill
cool.
him, They open the cloak,
Yeah.
and there's just a pile of mirrors. And that's why he was so sad, why he looked so forlorn when the mirrors started getting broken, because he was like, those could have been cousins, or maybe they're parts of him. I don't know. Either way, it was depressing for him.
We're never going to understand mirror magic like that.
Yeah, he was like,
it's beyond
here
us.
I was trying to play this funny practical joke where I turned into a firebird and kidnapped a girl, and and I was going to have them all. I've got a big dinner set up in the other room. I was going to invite them all in and be like, gotcha. And then he started smashing my mirrors. And
I forgot that Wilt Chamberlain pulls a Mike Tyson and bites his fucking ear off.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I thought he bit his ear off, like off.
I thought so too. I still think so.
I still don't know that he doesn't.
Yeah.
I also thought that Conan chopped Wilt Chamberlain's leg off when he literally slices him through the thigh, and Wilt topples over like a fucking tree. But then in the next scene, he's like up, standing and kicking people and stuff again.
Yeah.
This whole end sequence is so good, with even like the flashing lights going on the whole time. It's just great. There's the creature. Wow. Looks like a big.
And I love
shit.
him when he's got like the sword in one hand
Yeah,
and the battle
dude.
axe in the other, and I'm like, oh, that's the He-Man shot.
Yeah,
Like, it's the exact He-Man
Exactly.
weapons.
he doesn't even use the axe really. He just holds
I know,
it for
he's
like
just there for
that
the
one
He-Man
shot.
pose. Oh boy! And I do like that the creature. It's got this big honking horn, and it actually uses it to impale people. It's like that's like one of its moves.
This didn't occur to me the first time I saw this, or recently, but that creature could have easily been a foe of the Power Rangers.
Oh, I had that same thought.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
100%.
Okay, yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, I wanted. What's her name? What's the female villain from Power Rangers?
Oh,
I forgot her name, but I wanted her to show up and be like, "Take that, Rangers!"
yeah.
Or imagine Arnold being like, "It's morphin' time."
They've got a little team.
Yeah.
They like.
Yeah. So we're gonna do top 4 or what? What's the deal here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, I mean, we can't do Arnold. I don't know.
I can see you've put a lot of thought into this, which is why I'm not going to be critical about it.
You can see that, can't you?
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else in this movie who's done 4 movies.
Yeah. Should we do Bob the Goon? Do we know what his name is?
I think it's.
I feel like we're going to get two
If
of
I
them.
did,
pretty quick.
we'd be cheating, because then we'd know immediately.
It's Tracy Walters is his name.
Yeah, that's too easy, or too hard, too hard.
Is this going to be
What
the first time we
about-
don't do top 4 because the person responsible for it can't come up with one?
I mean, who would you pick?
I don't know. Do John Milius.
I
or
haven't
someone.
had that problem because when it's my turn, I know. Didn't we already do
Well-
John Milius?
Yeah, we
we?
probably
I don't
did
know.
something. Let's do James Earl Jones again.
Just do someone tangentially like connected to this movie.
I know. Come
Yeah,
on,
James
Colin.
Earl Jones. We're doing James Earl Jones.
Didn't we do James Earl? Didn't we?
Yeah,
do
we
James-
did.
Wait, what
If
did
you
we
did do him.
If
we
you
we
can't
did reference him
remember-
earlier. Why don't we do Dolph Lundgren?
Oh yeah,
That's
okay.
good.
Let's try Dolph
Oh,
Lundgren.
well, thank you, guest, for doing Colin's job for him.
That's how we do it. All right, Dolph Lundgren. Top 4, IMDb. Who's gonna go first?
Guests go first. So this should be a gimme.
Christian doesn't know how to play. I
Just
think that's
remind
his
me,
problem.
am I
supposed to-
guessing what the top 4 are they're known for? Is that what I'm guessing?
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
IMDb,
but
which
you
means
guess
that it
one
might,
at a time.
It might
we-
not
and we
actually
circle.
be. Yeah, it might not actually be a good.
Okay.
movie.
Well, yeah, Dolph Lundgren. So I'm first. This one should be easy.
Yeah.
If it's not in the top 4, I will be shocked. Universal Soldier.
Universal Soldier is correct.
Wow! Took a risk there, though.
Well, the most obvious one I didn't want to go with.
Well, I do want to go with the most obvious one. So I'm going to go ahead and say Rocky 4.
Rocky 4 is correct.
Wow. All right, you guys have left me in the dirt here.
You got another obvious one, dude.
Matt's been scouring IMDb. Come on, there's a few more. Good
I'm gonna
ones.
say The Punisher.
What did I compare this movie to?
Yeah. It's your
My
turn.
turn? Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. Masters of the Universe is correct.
Good one. All right. I am going to go with. I could think of a couple of good options, but I'm gonna go with The Expendables.
The Expendables
Oh,
is wrong.
That's a good guess,
Damn
though.
it.
I'm gonna go with Creed 2.
That was gonna
Creed
be my
2
next one.
is wrong.
Oh damn.
Is it back to me
Haven't
now?
done yet?
Wait, yeah,
But
we
it
are.
is the hint round. He's got to give a hint.
Second
Okay.
time through, yeah.
All right. I feel like the hint might be too easy.
So make it hard.
The star of this movie is also in a movie called Chain Reaction. See, that's a hard hint.
That is a hard hint. I know who's in the movie Chain Reaction.
Me too.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't
I
help
know
me.
2 people who are in Chain
Who-
Reaction.
I know 2 people who are in it, and it doesn't. Neither one of them helps me.
Who is in Chain Reaction?
It's Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman, I
Yeah.
think.
Keanu Reeves is the person I was talking about.
Gosh, I don't know.
So Keanu Reeves is the star of a movie that Dolph Lundgren is also in.
Yeah.
But Keanu Reeves isn't in.
yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
dude.
All right, so let's say I was going to try to give you a hint by taking the first initial from several words to create a memory device. What would I be doing in that situation?
Oh God. As usual, Colin, your hints are way too hard or way too
Well,
easy.
I don't know. I'm just gonna guess one that I know. I think
Whose
it's my
turn
turn,
is it?
right? I'm just gonna guess one I know he's in,
Yeah.
but it's probably not top 4. Kindergarten Cop 2.
That is wrong.
Excellent.
that
excellent
exists?
guess, though. Excellent.
I didn't know
guess.
there was a part 2 to that.
That's straight to
Yeah,
straight
me
to
neither.
home video.
I'm ashamed to say
I
I've
haven't
never
either.
seen it.
I haven't.
Seems like it would be great. I guess I'll put us out of our misery and guess Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh yeah,
That
dude,
is correct.
Murderous Jesus.
Colin's hint
That's
was
a
very,
top
very
4?
helpful.
Really? Shocking, dude.
For Dolph, it is.
Shocking.
I didn't even remember him being in that.
I would say Expendables
I don't
over
even know
that
what he
any
is.
day, dude. But
I mean, I thought my hints were like awesome. Awesome.
if you said
hints.
laser thumb, I would have got it.
No, I would never do that.
Or yeah, Rambo knife crucifix.
You didn't like how I suggested the term mnemonic device?
I liked it because Kristian didn't get it.
Yeah,
and it was
he's
my
like, I
turn
know
next.
exactly.
It was a memory device of some kind. All right.
I should have said Roy G. Biv. That would have been way too hard. You'd be like, he's in the rainbow? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that would have just broken my brain, and I think I just would have had to quit the podcast.
But that is a
my
mnemonic
initial
device.
thought was, I didn't know Dolph Lundgren was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That was my initial
I was
thought.
thinking Speed. I'm like, is he the bus in Speed? What's happening?
He's the boss.
He's the bomb. And he's
His face is on the front of a bus.
I'm playing the role
He's
of the
like-
bus.
He's making vroom vroom noises with his mouth.
Just in front of a
He
green
also,
screen. They're like, yeah, it'll work. It'll make sense. Don't worry.
And for his hair, he has a buzz cut.
Perfect.
nice.
I tried not to laugh at that, and I couldn't.
You had to give respect where it was due.
Yep. And, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Let's rate this thing.
Have we reached the end of the road? The merciful end of the episode?
Who wants to go first? Colin? Harris? Not me?
I can go.
All right, Harris, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't have too much to say about it, except that I felt like it did all the stuff that I liked about the first one, and it did a lot of those things better. Loved the sets, loved the costumes. I thought the performances were great. I loved the cast. I just think just the entire thing, it's like, it's goofy, it's stupid, it's cheesy, it's all those things, but it's also really fun. And like we've been saying, it's a fun adventure story on par with like an Indiana Jones or something like that. So yeah, this was a blast to watch again. And I probably haven't seen this since I was pretty young. At least not all the way through. and it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun. I imagine it was a lot of fun to make, and definitely holds up, I think, pretty well, all things considered, except for the sexy 14-year-old.
Colin.
What the hell? I didn't make the movie.
Yeah, but
I
you had to
wasn't
look at your
there.
face.
You sick
You had to look
pervert.
at your face that was like, mention the girl again. Yeah, so I'm going to give it. I gave the last one 6 Timothy Dolphins. I can't bump this one up to 7, but it's like it is. I like it slightly better, but I'm going to give it another 6 Timothy Dolphins.
Your logic is not sound, but I'll take it. I like it better than the last movie, but I won't give it a higher score.
Well, there's like a lot of room between a 6 and a 7. It's on a 10 scale. It's like maybe a half better, but I don't give half points.
And
Neither should anyone else.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go then.
I guess you could.
Yeah, basically, like the first Conan is just much more of an origin story and much more of a personal journey for the lead character Conan. This movie is basically, a lot more about the world of Conan and the crew he's with and like the adventures that a character like Conan can go on. And there's more magic and the crew of characters is, interesting, and like the pace keeps moving. I always thought of the first one as better. I'm feeling like I waited too long in between the last time I watched this and the time I watched it now, and I'm gonna watch it again, sometime soon, because I enjoyed all of it and it was great. And I think I'm gonna give it 8 Timothy Dolphins because I don't remember what I gave the first one, but
You're pulling a Harris. Let's just say
I
that.
had fun.
You like this one better, but you're giving it the same score.
I like this one better, but I'm going to say the score. Well, maybe I'll change something in the wrap up show.
Well, we know you're not going lower, so
You don't know anything. I could do anything.
Kristian, you want to give us your summary?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually excited. Matt invited me to this movie because it's one of my favorites from childhood, as I mentioned earlier. Us 80 babies. It was all about Masters of the Universe, and as far as I was concerned, this was how I wanted the Masters of the Universe to be, not that other way. No disrespect, Dolph. But yeah, I understand he's an avid listener to your podcast. So I mean, for that most of that reason, the nostalgia factor and the fact that it's that I've seen it inside and out when I was a kid, it was really fun to come back, decades later and watch it again and have all those memories like come back and be like, oh, this is the horn part, and like almost like I was seeing it for the first time again. And I didn't watch the first Conan very recently, but I watched it within the last 3 or 4 months, and I agree with what you guys say. It's a good movie, and it's probably more iconic, but this one's more fun. You can actually watch this one with your kids, and there wouldn't be as more traumatizing. There's some traumatic stuff. But
She's 14, son.
you can.
Oh God! What the hell?
Exactly. So I mean,
I couldn't believe it either.
and I've always been a big Arnold fan, and I
why is that your pervert voice, Matt?
It's like a little bit like Keebler Elf, but like a little bit Leprechaun, but like a little bit just like regular fucking American guy. It's very weird.
Quiet, you.
Shore and Bigora, where are your
he's
children?
Irish.
I've got Lucky Charms for the kids.
Excuse me, Harris. Excuse me. Lucky Blarms only on this show.
Oh, take a look at me, Lucky Blarms, kids.
Kristian, just so you know, Lucky Blarms is the official cereal of License to Watch.
Oh, okay.
They're basically just Lucky Charms, but the second word starts with a B instead.
Oh, I get it.
The B is for better.
Sorry, we've totally derailed Kristian's
You're
analysis,
okay.
which is his
100%.
wrap up. So.
No, it's cool. Oh yeah, I think it's hard for me to remember what the first Arnold movie was I saw, and I've always been a huge fan of Arnold, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. And ever since then, it's always been a special movie for me. So I know you guys do the Timothy Dolphins, but I'm going to give this one 8 camel punches.
Wow.
Yeah, I like everything you guys are saying. I feel like we're all on the same page here. This is the first time I've ever seen this movie. And actually, the first movie I'd only ever seen one time before the most recent viewing. So I'm pretty new to this series. However, I was always aware that it existed, but for some reason just like was never introduced to it by a parent or a friend or anything. And maybe they were hard to come by or something as a kid. I don't know.
Maybe you got to second guess your who you associate with, your parents. And
Yeah, I'm learning that late in life. But I enjoyed both of these movies. But I have to say, I think I enjoyed the second one a little bit more. It is more fun. It being PG, which in the 80s is basically like a hard R today, like had no effect on really. I mean, there was less boobs, but the boobs in the first movie were kind of inconsequential anyway, and it was just like boobs for the sake of being there, you know?
Remember, there was no PG-13 in 1984.
That's right. Yeah, so... I mean, what was allowed? Like, obviously, violence wasn't a thing. Like, just blood, decapitations, sure.
you could show like a boob in a non-sexual way in a PG movie, and you could have like certain amount of swear words.
It's crazy. Wow. It's like another world.
It's like another time created by a man going back in time to create Conan 3.
We should just do a third episode of this series as if we've seen the third Conan movie.
Just talk about Conan 3.
Yeah, we just tell our story of like how Harris like fucking hell-bent on achieving the power of time travel. Fucking went rogue and just got back there
and we all
knocked
watched
down
it
the door
and agreed that it kind of jumped the shark a little bit.
It really didn't need to be made.
The worst one for sure.
They should have stopped after 2.
They definitely should have.
It's almost as if you can tell that someone was really forcing this to be made, and that is what happened.
Like, was that like Roger Ebert, his review on TV?
Yeah, exactly.
It almost
That's
feels
exactly
like a hand from the future came back through time.
It almost feels like a time traveler forced this movie to be made despite the fact that everyone was against it. It's almost like he went back in time to the gold rush era and started investing in stocks to accumulate a vast fortune so he could single-handedly finance a series of Conan sequels and spin-offs, none of which were necessary, and they all turned out poorly. Yes! It's almost exactly like that.
Just Roger Ebert saying all of those things is so funny.
Gene Siskel's just like, you know, Ebert, I feel like you're full of shit. You're a fat fuck and I never liked you.
You can shut up, Siskel.
There was so much camel punching in this one. That's what the people are here for. They want to see camels get punched and...
Yeah, no, they split on the thumbs up, thumbs down for Conan 3.
They did.
But that's only because Harris went back in time to when Siskel was a child
and removed his thumbs.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Why did we pick a thumb system? You don't have any thumbs.
Quiet, you.
I don't know. I thought
We've been doing this for years, and it's always a thumbs up or a thumbs down from Ebert, and then just nothing from Siskel, just dead air.
Just a lot of like...
He just shrugs. He just shrugs and looks at his thumbless hands.
Why did we make the show this way? I can't remember.
It's like we had a valid reason, and now it's gone.
Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm like crying right now.
Oh my God.
Are we still in Matt's summary?
Yeah,
Yes.
we are.
If only we could go back in time and start it over again.
Just a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I think the ending just sealed the deal for me, and that whole end sequence was great. I feel like if I were tasked to make a sword and sandal movie or a sword and sorcery, whatever the fuck movie, I feel like it would be something like this. Maybe with more monster, perhaps. But there is something to...
Definitely more nipples.
Yeah, definitely more nipples. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'd watch it again, and I'd show it to people. I would, in fact, I would issue it a license to watch.
Yes.
But first I'll give...
I'd show it to people. I'd show it to people.
I'd show it to people.
I definitely. I would get out there and show it to people.
I gave the first movie a 6, and I'm going to be fucking bold and give this one 7 Timothy Dolphins.
Whoa, so you're saying it's better, so you give it a higher score?
Yeah, it's called logic.
Novel idea. Novel idea.
Oh, man, we did it. We fucking did it.
Yeah.
Well, Kristian, you're actually, because you're on the last movie of a series, you get to bear witness to us announcing our next series. And to do so, I will cue the music. So we're done with our 2-for series, our 3-for-2-for series, where we've done 3 movie series that have 2 movies in them back to back to back. And now we're finally getting back to basics. And I've selected a series of 4 films. A movie series that begins in 1975 and ends in, I think, 1989. Some might call it a classic film series. Some might call it an epic fall from grace. But that's for us to decide. The movie series, of course, is the great summer series, Jaws. The franchise consists of 4 movies: Jaws, the Spielberg classic; Jaws 2, Jaws 3D, which if we can watch it in 3D would be fantastic, and ending with the classic Jaws: The Revenge.
Also known as Jaws 4D.
I wish.
Is there a Jaws Double D?
Was a piranha.
Yeah, that's what I was joking at.
Yeah.
I think I saw that with you, Matt, in the theaters.
It's possible. Yeah, Jaws. Are you guys excited for that? I mean, it's going to be our summer series. Those episodes will be airing around Shark Week time. It's gonna be a good summer, boys.
I know
Chums.
for a fact that yeah, that's good. I like it. I know for a fact that I have never seen any of the Jawses past Jaws 1.
Ooh.
And I've only seen the first Jaws once. Like, I've seen scenes from the first Jaws many times, but I've only seen that movie all the way through once because I don't like watching bodies get dismembered. And it grosses me out and freaks me out when the shark eats when that leg with the shoe still on it is floating down in the water. I hate that part. So this will be interesting for me because I've seen parts of all these on TV, and obviously I've seen some real cheesy shit in some of them.
Oh yeah.
But this could be interesting. I'm looking forward to, much like The Exorcist, I'm looking forward to watching some good movies, some not so good movies, and just a lot of shit I haven't seen before.
I'm so jealous I don't get to be a part of Jaws 3. It is like it's epic on so many levels.
Oh, I know.
It's got the worst visual effects you've ever seen in your life. It's incredible.
I have seen the shark explosion at the end of Jaws 3, and it's probably the reason why I've never seen Jaws 3.
And that's actually one of the better effects in the movie.
I wish we could also do Jaws the Ride, like as
Like a bonus
a part of
episode.
it.
Oh, I would love that too.
Yeah. Like we could record it live on the ride. Just get a lot of kids like farting and screaming and stuff. I don't know. Maybe this is a bad idea.
You know, it's the end of the show when both Harris and Kristian are blowing their nose simultaneously, and I'm hitting the mute button so I could let out an epic fart over here.
Leave that in.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what you pay for, folks.
that's it.
That's what the audience comes for.
Yeah, no, but I think we'll get some good quality audio stuff for Jaws. Some good bites.
We'll give the people something they can really sink their teeth into, you know.
Of course.
We're all scaring our
Yeah.
brains for puns.
No. Well, when Matt said he was going to do this one, like I told him I've always thought that it's a crime that the movie doesn't end going to black and coming up with a title card that just says Finn.
That's not bad.
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess.
Dude, that
Finishing this
thing,
episode with a bang. All right.
I'm sorry, but like the Siskel asking Ebert why they're doing a segment on thumbs up when he has no thumbs thing fucking killed me. That I'm dead. Like, I'm done.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can't remember. I can't
like
remember either. Why would we make it about thumbs?
It could have been
right,
head
should we stop
nodding.
recording now?
It had to be thumbs.
Why, Roger? Why, Roger?
All right, Kristian, man, thanks for coming back. You're now a 2-for guest. It's perfect because this is a 2-for series. So thanks again for doing this. Do you have anything that you want to plug or like something you've got going on you want to talk about?
The same as last time. I just have first of all, I have to explain, I'm sick. I don't know if I made this clear. I have a bad cold, so I don't sound like myself. And if you hear a couple of snorts and sniffs in there, Matt did a bad job editing. That being said, yeah, you can find me on social media and YouTube. I do a bunch of fun movie trivia videos and movie reviews, and I occasionally write for geektyrant.com. That's pretty much it. I always have a good time when you invite me, and I would do it more if you threw an invitation out. So if you ever have any last-minute quitters, consider me, please.
Oh, for sure. That's good to know because we have that
good to know.
often.
Yes.
Awesome.
Basically,
look
sometimes
forward-
in the first couple of minutes of the podcast, they'll just go over what's going on. They'll just be like, you know what? This is not what I thought it was going to be. I got to go.
We've had 2 people in recent memory, like halfway through the show, be like, "I'm tired. Can we wrap this up?"
Not to mention
I look
names,
forward.
but Colin drove them away.
Yeah.
I will say that much.
It was all that 14-year-old.
That is a name. That's my name. I never said anything.
Something about thumbs.
Yeah, it wasn't what you said, Colin. It's what you were thinking about saying. We could see it on your
No.
face.
No,
Maybe you should just
can't.
turn your Zoom camera off. Pervert.
hell?
Pervert. All right, guys, that's it. Kristian, thanks again, man, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Yeah, how can we close this show
Enough
out, guys?
talk.
All right, that's the end of our show. Thanks for listening. Rate us, subscribe, call in. We have a website. Go to our website. It's www.podpage.com/L2W. We have a voicemail feature where you can send us messages. So do that, you jerks. Special thanks to Suburb once again for doing our theme song for this series. Kicks ace. And special thanks to our special guest, Kristian Odland. Check him out on YouTube at 1 Minute Critic. And yeah, that's about it. So I hope you liked our Conan stuff, and stay tuned for our official rankings of these movies, all 2 of them. And we'll check you next time for Jaws, the first episode of 4 classic movies. I, of course, have quotes around the word classic, and you'll understand why real soon. So until then, see you later, fuckers.
In the time when the ocean drank Atlantis and the rise of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. And unto this, Conan, destined to bear the jeweled crown of Apollonia upon a troubled brow.